How's it going, everybody? C-RadTV back here with another video, and welcome to another Detroit Lions 2024 NFL Draft Preview. So in the last draft preview, we took a look at the top day 3 tight end prospects of the 2024 NFL Draft. And in this video, we're going to wrap up the offensive lineman portion of the draft previews and take a look at the top day 3 offensive lineman draft prospects in rounds 4 through 7 of the 2024 NFL Draft, which would be looking at offensive tackles, guards, and centers. And of course, yes, I did hear the news about the Lions matching Brock Wright's offer from the 49ers. I did hear about that. I literally got that news about an hour after I finished editing and processing the video for the tight ends video. But I don't think that changes anything. I think tight ends still in need there still can be addressed for depth regardless. But yeah, today we're going to look at the O-line and see what prospects the Lions should take a look at in day 3 of the 2024 NFL Draft. So anyway, let's go. Starting off with offensive tackles, the first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of Houston, standing 6'7", weighing 312 pounds. We got Patrick Paul. So for Patrick's strength, special length, 36-inch arms, makes him a nightmare to get around at pass protection. Hard to knock back through pure power, able to use his reach advantage, can redirect pass rushers even when they get around him along the arc. His brain gives him a lot of room for error regardless of what he does technically. Strength is steady no matter what angle he's working from. In terms of weaknesses though, upright and clunky when he has to pull or work through space. Inattentive with his hands, relies too much on his length to sustain blocks. Extremely slow feet limits him when he works laterally. Allows bull rushers to get into his chest and avoid his hands. Too tall and long to have any potential as a guard. Lacks recovery range once he makes mistakes in his sets. Gets his feet tangled too easily. Always in chase mode against quality athletes. Lacks fluidity in his movement. Limited power generator as a run blocker. Flexibility is underwhelming. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Terrence Steele of the Dallas Cowboys. Overall, quite a few positives to take out of him. Has some great size too. Maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Yale, standing 6'5", weighing 321 pounds. We got Kieran Amakdije. So for Kieran's strengths, long arms, stout build, allows him to control defenders at the line, keep them in front of him. Maintains control of his body well, rarely hits the field during a rep. Incredible movement, able to slide his feet to keep himself upright in the face of superior strength or attempts to swipe at the inside shoulder. Explodes off the line, initiate grip, can beat other defenders to the initial grab. Effective pass protector due mostly to his sustained length of almost 37-inch arms, making it instantly easier to keep a clean pocket. He's also been listed as one of the small school studs of this draft class, because although a quad injury kept him from playing most of 2023, has the ideal combination of strength and length to be a long-time starter in the league. In terms of his weaknesses, though, strength profile is noticeably lacking against FCS prospects. It could result in a tough transition against NFL defenders. Doesn't make an effort to maul guys in the run game. He's more of a guy who will freeze foes in place rather than move them out of the way. Doesn't create holes for his backs to run through. Plays tall, punches at the shoulder instead of the chest. Fundamentally untested by guys with even the slightest bit of pass rushing refinement. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Matt Pearl and the New York Giants. And also, in terms of Kieran, I do apologize earlier for possibly botching his last name. It's a bit of a tongue twister. But overall, other than that, other than me botching his last name, still a lot of things to like about his game. I think definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Washington, standing 6'6", weighing 300 pounds. We got Roger Rosengarten. This time I didn't botch the last name here. But anyway, in terms of Roger's strengths, outstanding athlete, rare closing speed when he works the linebackers. Length should easily pass the threshold that most teams set. Great fluidity when he changes directions or works combo blocks. Able to cover a lot of ground in a stance when his footwork lines up. Displays plenty of patience with his hands. Won't fire them off prematurely in pass protection. For developmental potential, will buy him plenty of time. In terms of weaknesses, though, top-heavy player, very thin lower body. Lack of mass in his legs. It shows up when he tries to halt bull rushers to recover his balance. Will need time to fill out his frame and build up his strength. Hands are constantly trailing behind his feet. Leads to major whiffs. Technique and body control fluctuates wildly from snap to snap. pop-ups on contact, loses leverage easily, has a hard time creating power, driving back defenders in the run game. Average hand quickness, it makes late adjustments difficult. Recoveries from bad positions are rare. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Brian O'Neill of Minnesota Vikings. Overall, there's a lot of positives to take out of his game. A few inconsistencies here and there. If he can get the consistency up, though, I think someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Texas, standing 6'5", weighing 320 pounds, we got Christian Jones. So for Christian's strengths, development has skyrocketed over the past couple years. Looks like it will continue. Built like a prototypical starter with excellent size, length for his frame. Quickness, change of direction skills, adequate. Surprisingly nimble for a 320-pounder. Body type and style of play fits well with either guard or tackle. Aggression and finishing ability stay consistent regardless of competition level. Able to redirect opponents at the end of his reach. Maintains balance well through contact. Rarely gets knocked off course. Well connected between his hands and feet. Terms of weaknesses though. Hands hang low. Can be late to arrive as both a run and pass blocker. Has some heaviness in his feet. Will be late against switchy pass rushers. Too often fires off his punch late and wide. Leans and overcommits his time as a run blocker. Gets reckless when he's losing the battle of athleticism. Has some stiffness in his knees and ankles that makes it hard to play low. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to John Ojukwu of the Tennessee Titans. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. Seems like he's been developing pretty nicely and will only continue to grow. And has some versatility at guard or tackle. So definitely I think someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Notre Dame, standing 6'6", weighing 312 pounds. We got Blake Fisher. So for Blake's strengths, fierce run blocker, throws himself around, try to punish linebackers. Wide base, adequate size, gives him a good baseline anchor. Processes information well at pass protection, won't panic after a few bad reps. Frame and style, it could play well at guard. Projectable athlete, has a lot of room to improve relative to his college tape. Flashes a natural connection between his upper body and his lower body in pass sets. In terms of weaknesses, though, play strength takes lumps against big ends. Speed rush tends to have his number. Ended up on the ground with Pee-wee in the matchup against Ohio State's JT Tuimalu. If you want to watch some tape there, his balance issues could doom him as a pro. His length can be exposed at times when he's trying to protect the edge. Hands are too low, both prior to contact and later in place. Narrows up his base, loses contact as a run blocker quite often. Snap inconsistency, drives coaches crazy early in his career. Had some bad examples of coasting through reps this year. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Rasheed Walker of the Green Bay Packers. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game, but definitely he's got to work on consistency. But if he can get that, if he can be less inconsistent and be more consistent, I think someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Pitt, standing 6'6", weighing 324 pounds. We got Matt Gunkhouse. So for Matt's strengths, he looks much twitchier with his hand usage in 2023 compared to his dull 2022 hand fighting. Easily passes most of the physical standards teams are looking for both the left and the right tackle. Displayed independent hand usage against Cincinnati if you want to watch some tape there. Has the necessary strength to implement it going forward. Able to drop his weight, can eat up bull rushers without giving up much ground. Plays with a wide base, won't have a hard time maintaining it throughout plays. In terms of weaknesses, though, he'll have plenty of scouts worried about how he looks coming back from his injury and the subsequent surgery. Not quick enough to make up for lost ground after he trades off blocks. Lack of top-end range and fluidity. May have some teams elevating him as a right tackle only. Allowed his hands to drop and get more reckless later in games this year. He's a lower ceiling player compared to other tackles in this class. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Blake Freeman of the Indianapolis Colts. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. You know, a couple things though he's got to clean up, but I think definitely someone to keep an eye on. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Penn State, standing 6'5", weighing 328 pounds. We got Caden Wallace. So for Caden's strengths, he looks the part of an NFL offensive lineman as matchup against Big Ten competition. Has an ideal frame for a pro. Could function as either a tackle or guard. Displayed an impressive anchor against Iowa's talented defensive front if you'll watch some tape there. And rarely gave up ground. Has plenty of upper body strength. Regularly knocked down defensive ends as a run blocker. Versatility to play multiple spots. It will raise his draft stock significantly. His hand placement and body control improved significantly from 2022 to 2023. Terms of weaknesses, though, heavy feet, modest lateral agility will get him exposed against high-end pass rushers. Has some stiffness in his knees and ankles, limits his range of motion when he adjusts to what defenders give him. Unable to get much depth on his pass sets, has a hard time flowing from one block to the next when he's climbing upfield. His speed differential against Ohio State's JT Tuimalu. Damn, he's been appearing quite a bit in this video, and we haven't even got to the defensive lineman yet. Anyway, if you want to watch some tape there, caused him some issues in pass protection. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Dan Moore Jr., the Pittsburgh Steelers. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. I think definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Illinois, standing 6'6", weighing 315 pounds. We got Julian Pearl. In terms of his strengths, very nimble athlete, flows easily as a down blocker and combo blocker. Excellent blend of size, length, athleticism, makes him one of the most interesting development tackles in the class. Huge wingspan gives him a wide margin of error when it comes to sealing off pass rushers. Straight line speed, impact as a downfield blocker stands out from his peers. He's also been listed as one of the top sleeper picks in this draft class because he's a former defensive end that still has room to grow. His agility and length makes him an ideal developmental tackle in the later rounds. In terms of weaknesses, though, his catches are ride blocks rather than directing defenders and using his strength. Lack of physicality, mild temperament will turn off a lot of coaches and scouts. Got over skis and was bending at the waist regularly against Kansas this year if you want to watch some tape there. Way too slow to adjust his hands, will simply claim the spots rather than react to hand fighting. Allows his feet to follow his hands rather than the other way around. Leads to falling off blocks. His body control looked worse in 2023 compared to 2022. And his techniques seem to have hit a wall that he hasn't been able to overcome. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Josh Neiman of the Green Bay Packers. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game, very raw, though. Needs a lot of time to develop. But I think someone that could maybe develop and someone that Lions can use in development for a couple years down the line. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Oklahoma, standing 6'6", weighing 323 pounds. We got Walter Roos. So for Walter's strengths, prototypical tackle body, good length, weight distribution. Brings plenty of strength to the party when he makes contact. Can win ugly if needed. Comfortable with a defender in his chest. Won't panic in a fight. Physical assets usually offset his technical and timing lapses. Adequate at generating movement in the run game. Can bring some lower body power. Good awareness to recognize stunts and reposition himself. In terms of his weaknesses, though, habitual leaner. Gets out over his feet to make initial contact. Heavy-footed style makes it difficult to win in space. Likely a right tackle only due to his agility concerns. Lacks ideal lateral quickness to mirror opponents. Doomed against quality speed rushers against the arc. Had trouble against Oklahoma State's pass rush if you want some tape there. Tends to lunge against quicker opponents. Puts himself in bad positions as a result. Likely limited to schemes that like to run a lot of power rather than slow blocking. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Walker Little of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. Maybe someone that could be a rotational piece for a running play, for rundowns. So the next player we're going to talk about here, hailing out of Missouri, standing 6'5", weighing 312 pounds. We got Javon Foster. So for Javon's strengths, creates a surprising amount of power as a run blocker when he gets momentum. Passes all the size and speed standards that teams want. Experience against SEC competitions helps him ease his transition to the physicality of the NFL game. Flashes a much higher ceiling when his leverage is adequate. Smooth and unstrained in his movements. Temperament as a run blocker is improved a lot in his final year. In terms of weaknesses, though, hands and feet too often disconnected once hand fighting starts. Leaner who will get his head out over the rest of his body, compromises balance. Average lateral agility won't be enough to keep up with high-end athletes. Thin lower body, lack overall mass, will worry some scouts. Hands play wide, out of control most of the time. Lacks the strength in his hands to snatch and redirect defenders once he starts to lose an angle. Very upright when near blocker. Pass sets are volatile. He will regularly overset. Lacks guard versatility. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Andre Dillard of the Tennessee Titans. Overall, quite a lot to like out of this game. Definitely I think someone that could be a rotational lineman for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of TCU, standing 6'7", weighing 312 pounds. We got Andrew Cocker. So for Andrew's strengths, comfortably passes the physical measurements teams look for in tackles. Experienced lineman, more than 40 starts in the last 4 years. Has plenty of torque strength as a run blocker. Hands are overwhelming to most defenders when he lands cleanly. Pro-ready anchor, holds up against most power. Makes the most of its length with one-hand stabs. Good distance control. Steady hand placement throughout reps. Brings knockout pop when he can get to a linebacker as a polar. In terms of weaknesses, though, he's a flat-foot blocker, limited range of movement. Right tackle only prospect, too slow for left tackle, and too tall for playing inside. High center of gravity, poor flexibility, constantly holding him back as a run blocker. Susceptible to speed rushers around the corner. Stiff and slow lateral movement without the ability to mirror most opponents. Recovery ability is marginal, non-factor when he gets downfield. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to now retired offensive tackle Zach Crabtree. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. Does a lot of things right. I think definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. And the final offensive tackle we're going to go over in this video before we move on to guards. We have hailing out of Louisiana, standing 6'4", weighing 334 pounds. We got Nathan Thomas. So for Nathan's strengths, hand usage is super active, makes his placement rapidly with great energy. Good strike profile with his upper body, can lay a few pancakes when he takes leverage. Adept at taking advantage of poor opposing technique. Smooth mover, can shift sideways forward with a decent level of speed. In terms of weaknesses, though, arm length, height, looks middling for a tackle prospect, may have to be shifted to guard in the next level. Doesn't play with a sense of urgency, releases blocks, moves to second level too often when it isn't necessary. Lower body is uncoordinated, doesn't anchor enough, more likely to get pushed and stand his ground. Didn't play above the level of Sunbelt competition, still lost some bad reps every game, had recent knee surgery. In terms of his weaknesses, in terms of his NFL comparisons, he's been compared to now retired offensive tackle Justin Anderson. Overall, quite a few things to like out of his game, but a few things he's got to clean up, though. And can he stay healthy or regain his form after knee surgery? We'll have to see, but I think definitely someone maybe to keep an eye on for sure. Now moving on to guards. The first one we're going to go over here. Hailing out of Miami, standing 6'4", weighing 315 pounds. We got Javion Cohen. So for Javion, he's a prototype run-blocking guard because he's adequate build for guard with a wide base, stunning power on his moves. His hands need work, but he's got a buy on pure physical ability against many college opponents. In terms of strength, plays with a wide base, maintains it while sustaining his blocks. Pro-ready play strength that will translate immediately once he hits the NFL. Knows how to use his length and keep defenders at bay in pass protection. Brings bull-like power when he lands on the move. Body type will make scouts swoon. Reach allows him to eat up space, can limit the options for pass rushers. Deceptive agility for his size. Hand speed's adequate to keep up with the pros. Length and strength combination, it could lead to a shot at right tackle if he can't find his footing at guard. In terms of his weaknesses, though, hands are wide and wide on a regular basis, overly reliant on simply outmuscling the opposition at times. Gets tunnel vision, loses track of defenders. Late to get his head around to assist teammates, leans into his target, tries to win leverage purely with his upper body, and his technique gets sloppier later in games. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to John Simpson of the Baltimore Ravens. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Javion's game, but a few things though he's got to clean up and be consistent at better. But yeah, other than that, I think definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Kansas State, standing 6'3", weighing 331 pounds. We got Cooper Babe. So for Cooper's strength, run game people mover, can roll through defenders without much trouble. Enormous frame, eats up plenty of space. Immovable object once he settles his weight. Sits down in pass protection. Experience in both tackle spots. Helps his transition to dealing with elite athletes. Plays with a wide base. Keeps it steady through contact. Excellent grip strength. Allows him to latch onto and redirect defenders. In terms of weaknesses, though, has significant lack of length. Is going to be a deal breaker for plenty of teams. His scheme-specific prospect won't be a fit for zone heavy run games. Likely a guard-only prospect. Fits a narrow role as a pro. Slow twitch athlete. Has a hard time getting around. Has trouble catches balance once he starts to lose a rep. He'll have guys slip away from him when he plays in space or tries to sustain blocks late. Recovering ability is extremely limited once he gives up his hips. Also been listed as the player that could disappoint because while he isn't lacking grit and tenacity, the two things Dan Campbell likes the most. However, his poor length and limited range of motion makes him a guard-only prospect with a narrow scheme fit. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to free agent guard Solomon Kinley. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. Does some things right. Has the things Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes like in a player. Even though he has scheme limitations, he still fits, I think, the line scheme very well. So I'm definitely high on him for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Utah, staying 6'4", weighing 311 pounds. We got Satoa Laumea. So for Satoa's strengths, excellent playing both guard and tackle. Will be one of the first things scout notice. Fleet foot mover, can win in space. Able to reset, can catch his balance in awkward positions. Natural knee bender, good flexibility, body control, leverage. Plays with a nasty streak from snap to snap. Punish defenders who slack off lane routes, puts them on the ground. Legs are always moving in the run game. In terms of weaknesses, though, too easily driven back by long arm opponents. Hands tend to get wild, can work on the outside of the frame in the run game. Lack of size and length likely keeps him from seeing much time at tackle in the pros. Size may worry some teams looking for power over movement skills. Loses control too easily when he works at the edge of his reach. Anchor's going to take a beating against some of the stronger players in the league. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Braden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. I think definitely someone that could be a rotational guard for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Maryland, standing 6'4", weighing 320 pounds. We got Gottlieb Ayedze. That whole name's a fucking tongue twister. But anyway, for his strengths, played tackle throughout his college career. Should be able to play both guard or tackle at the next level. Common relaxed hands and pass protection. Won't rush his way to the punch. Ability to pair his hands and feet allowed him to shut down Michigan State's pass rushers if you want to watch some tape there. Gets low out of his stance. Maintains his knees. Ankle bend through contact. Closes quickly coming downhill. Can land on the linebackers. Upper body strength. Look better after transferring from Frostburg State to Maryland. Also been listed as one of the top sleeper picks in this draft class because he's a college tackle who projects the guard. He plays with leverage, strength, and composure as a run blocker and pass blocker. May surprise as a rookie starter. In terms of weaknesses, though, he's narrow on his lower body, doesn't have the typical mass that teams want for a guard. More of a grab and ride blocker than a physical force that controls people. Will lose the length battle at times outside. Pass sets are too choppy as a result of his shorter legs. Was unable to recover once he was being off the snap by Ohio State's JT Tuomalu. Holy fuck, that's the third time he's appeared in this video. God damn, if you want to watch some tape there. Damn, JT from Ohio State's really been a menace in some of these O-line prospects. Fuck. But anyway, continuing on though, in terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Nick Saljak at the San Francisco 49ers. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Gott's game. Definitely, I think someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Kansas, standing 6'4", weighing 317 pounds. We got Dominic Punny. So for Dominic, he's a prototype downfield guard because he's an easy mover when he climbs to reach linebackers. He brings an edge that pairs well with his agility and his burst. In terms of strengths, incredibly quick out of his stance, gains the edge on first contact most of the time. Has left tackle experience, will be able to lean on versatility as a pro. Incredibly nimble second-level blocker. Sticky at pass protection despite average arm length. Brings some nastiness as a finisher. Will search for opportunities to maul opponents. Body control and explosiveness flash when he pulls or combo blocks. Lateral quick enough to be a quality zone blocker. Could try his hand at defensive tackle if he struggles to find his footing on the O-line. In terms of his weaknesses, though, average length, which eliminates him as a tackle option in the NFL. Imprecise angles leads to him slipping off tackles, loses control rate and leaps. Blech. Hand speed doesn't match his foot speed. Gives away leverage too soon without good reason. Brawler style with finesse tools. Odd pairing. Carries his hands low. Playing reactively rather than setting the tone. In terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Luke Goddard of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Dominic's game, so I think definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. And the final guard we're going to go over in this video before we move on to centers. We have hailing out of Boston College, standing 6'3", weighing 322 pounds. We got Christian Mahogany. So for Christian, strengths, big and sturdy build guard. Fits the prototype for the position. Plenty of sand in his pants. Won't lose ground in pass protection. Flashes power as a run blocker when he gets to load up with his punch. Effective puller, takes proper angles, lands with a thud on targets. Able to win ugly, can keep his body in the way regardless of what defenders show him. Despite a nasty streak against Florida State, lit up their linebackers as a second-level blocker if you want to watch some tape there. In terms of his weaknesses, though, he looked like he was hobbling against Connecticut for some more tape. and maybe dealing with lingering effects from his torn ACL in 2022. Stiff and awkward with his movements, lacks the ideal coordination and control between his upper and lower body. Hand coats, and he can be caught taking plays off, as he did against Connecticut's defensive line. Damn, a lot of tape from Connecticut here. Has trouble with recalculating as a combo blocker. Limited working laterally, will be easy to slip around outside the phone booth. Terms NFL comparison, he's been compared to Damian Lewis of the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of things to like out of him, but may have some limitations from that ACL he suffered nearly 2 years ago. Maybe it'll be a gamble taking him for sure, but, maybe someone that could be a rotational piece in the O-line. Now moving on to centers. The first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of Arkansas, sitting 6'4", weighed 307 pounds. We got Bo Limmer. Silver Bo strikes, hybrid guard center prospect, has the tools and experience to play out her position. Took efficient angles, flowed easily to linebackers at the second level, what stood out against LSU in 2023. If you want some tape there, as his anchor held up against LSU's nose tackle Mason Smith, despite being vastly outsized. So some good tape to watch there. Able to take his heels in and reset once he starts to lose ground as a pass blocker. Shows good reactive ability, will quickly shift his hands and feet to counter moves. Disciplined player, rarely gets out of control with his body approach. Bender that can stay low through contact, showed that he can maintain leverage consistently against Alabama if you want to watch some more tape there. Terms of weaknesses, though, he's more of a stay-in-the-way blocker than the type that can control and redirect opponents. Average athlete won't be able to keep up with elite NFL pass rushers on the interior. He eludes length battle. His 32-inch arms fall right on the line of passable for most pro evaluators. Has a hard time gearing down to make adjustments once he builds up speed and space. Terms NFL comparison, he's been compared to Ricky Stromberg and the Washington Commanders. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Bo's game. I think definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure at guard, maybe. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of West Virginia, standing 6'3", weighing 310 pounds. We got Zach Frazier. So for Zach, he's your prototype intangible center because he's a former high school state champ wrestler. Plus, his mental and physical toughness is unmatched in the center class. Terms of his strengths, prototypical center body type, big hands, compact frame, good initial quickness out of his stance. Hands and feet urgent in tandem at all times. Has the grip straight to length on the blocks, can stay on. Upper body strength control, rarity for the position. Recovers well from awkward angles. Resets his feet, adjusts without panic when he's losing his battle. Should be able to moonlight as a guard if his team needs it. Recognition skills keep defenses from beating him with stunts. Steady and consistent from rep to rep. In terms of his weaknesses, though, athleticism and space limit his effectiveness on his hoof against NFL linebackers and second-level rushers. Gets tangled up in transition before he can flip his hips. Has a hard time reaching blitzers. Can generally is effective until he has to leave the phone booth. Gets caught off guard by power rushers. Will see ground and when he doesn't recognize stunts and twists. Has some tightness in his lower body, which makes it hard to swivel around. Terms of NFL comparison, he's been compared to Dylan Parham of the Las Vegas Raiders. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Zach's game. Has a lot of physicality and toughness, too. Definitely, I think, something to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Miami, standing 6'3", weighing 300 pounds. We got Matt Lee. Silver match strengths, aware pass blocker, switches easily to snake blitzers and protection. Surprisingly physical for his size, not going to be battered by nose tackles. Finds leverage through both good lower body flexibility and quick adjustments. Capable puller, doesn't reach to make timely and accurate contact. Always scanning, seeking contact when he isn't engaged. Punch is accurate, rarely wide of the target. Understands his body, won't put himself in bad positions. High effort player, stays involved until the whistle blows. Body control allows him to anchor, can adjust without giving up much ground. Technically sound across the board. Terms his weaknesses, though, overextends, loses balance on occasion when he tries to initiate contact. Range isn't good enough to hit reach blocks against high-end athletes. Late to get his feet going when opponents work laterally. Able to redirect blocks, can control angles facing bigger or longer defensive tackles. Terms NFL comparison, he's been compared to Matt Hennessy of the Atlanta Falcons. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Matt's game. Definitely, I think, someone to keep an eye on for sure. And the final center, the final offensive lineman, the final player we're going to talk about in this video. We have hailing out of Oklahoma, standing 6'4", weighing 309 pounds. We got Andrew Rain. So for Andrew, he's a prototype pulling, trapping center because he's an easy fit for power-heavy run schemes. Brings a ton of pop on collision, has the necessary strength profile to take on anyone. In terms of strength, incredibly strong upper body, can snatch and steer defensive tackles and pass sets. rocket pass protection, able to shut down power rushers, has a good feel for turning on angles as a run blocker, can hit reach blocks purely on technique, has some violence to his game when he can get defenders squared up in front of him. Terms of weaknesses, though, short arm center, falls short on measurements, preference at guard. Heavy feet showed up as a limitation against Iowa State if you want to watch some tape there. Unable to make up for mistakes or missteps to get back in position. Balance was a major issue in 2023. Loses footing when he's forced to play on the move. Very limited agility. Leads to a ton of bad reps against twitchy pass rushers that can get past his hip. Run blocking ability stands out as a weakness. The pass blocking prowess. Had a hard time dealing with Oklahoma State's big nose tackle at 345 pounds. Justin Kirkland's size and length if you want some tape there. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Jake Andrews and the New England Patriots. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. Very good in the run game. Can control and trap anybody. Can hold his own. Other than a couple issues, though, and a couple things to clean up, definitely I think someone to keep an eye on for sure. But yeah, that wraps up for this draft preview, and that actually wraps up for all the offensive draft previews for this year and for the draft. So yeah, quite a few interesting prospects on the O-line to keep an eye on for sure. So yeah, it's a very interesting names to keep on for the O-line. And this is actually so far the longest draft preview we've had so far for this year, which is not really surprising. Usually every year, the longest draft previews usually tend to be the O-line because of how deep the offensive line class is, especially usually in day 3. Day 3 is when it's at its absolute deepest. And which, do you really blame it for being that deep? I honestly don't, because offensive line is very, very crucial to a team's success, because while it isn't like I said before, while O-line isn't the most sexiest pick in the world, it is the most essential pick, though, because the game is won and lost in the trenches. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for this draft preview. So every draft preview from here on out will be focused on defense, and we will have one on special teams. But yeah, that will be for next time, as next time we'll be looking at the other side of trenches in the defensive line and wrapping that up. But anyway, that will be for next time. But yeah, anyway, that's all I got to say. Hope everyone's a great day, and I'll see you all whatever I make next. I'm out.